What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Not a Sheep podcast. My name's Matt, and I'm here with my new co-host, Khaled. What's going on?
Yes, sir. What's up?
We're back,
What's up?
Bro. It's cool to actually, be back in the studio recording. I just wanted to quickly update everyone on what's been going on. As you know, we haven't had an episode in a few months now. We just had one last week, but that was just an update video to talk about John leaving and like what he's got going on. But we're officially back. I'm going to call this season 2 of the show. We're definitely going to have some new guests on soon, some returning guests that people have been asking about, and got a whole lot of fun stuff planned. But wanted to take this episode to kind of, for the listeners, to get to know you a little bit. We've had you on like last year, but it'll be cool to update everyone on all the cool stuff you've had going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's been going on in your life, Cade?
Yeah, it's been a little bit, dude, a lot. I feel like there's been a lot of the same, and a lot of new at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like that consistent kind of grind to things. Working with a lot of different artists, just like one-off stuff here and there. It's been like super fun.
Yeah.
Just getting to be able to just be a part of so many different fun projects with artists and stuff. Like I told you this probably like sometime later, but I don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast ever. But like this year, bro, it's been like a year of just like I wanted to get out like 100 songs that I've been a part of. Like that's been like kind of goals, just because like I wanted to figure out like how I don't know, just like get the craft really like down really well. Where I can be like, if I could put out 100 songs this year, man, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And like the amount of growth that would come from 100 complete pieces of work that have been released. You know what I mean?
Released and out there and stuff. Yeah. People are like, hey, what have you done? I'm like, I did 100 songs last year.
Huge catalog.
Yeah. So it'd be really just cool just to do that. Like whether it's something, I produced, mixed, helped write or something, like just stuff like that. Plus I just love to like be a part of like what artists are doing. And like when I see a good vision, like I love to be a part of it. Yeah. So it's always like an honor. And it's like, it's not somewhere I'm just like, oh, I got to get 100 songs. I'll just put out like 100 lo-fi tracks. I mean,
that's the cool thing about being a producer is like, it doesn't have to necessarily be like, oh, I made 100 beats for 100 songs that came out. It's like, you're like a producer of the creative process. It's not like I produce beats and that's it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, that's how it is, right? You got so many different people touching songs usually these days and stuff. Like executive producers, like creative directors and stuff. Like there's a lot of different moving parts to it. So
yeah, that's like how people will be like, what does DJ Khaled even do? Does he just like yell on songs? It's like, well, that might be all he does, but we're pretty sure he assembles these people and connects them all to make great music. So it's like it's almost like coaching, is like being an executive producer.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, DJ Khaled, he's probably got to be doing something more at that level to be able to have that kind of credits. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I love the meme of all that stuff. So funny. Just DJ Khaled on it. Now it's his song. Like,
exactly.
But yeah, some of the recent stuff I've been doing is like, there's this guy, Josiah Davis out of Austin. He released an awesome album called Tip of the Iceberg.
Yep.
And then he's releasing a whole project, like a whole remix album this Friday here. So I got to do 2 remixes on it. The first one's out. Stoked about it. Kind of like this hyper pop feel. It's got to go like pull out all the stops and craziness for it.
Yeah, super upbeat.
Yes, exactly. It's just crazy. I wanted it to feel like you're just destroying at Mario Kart or something.
What I thought was cool about it, because I heard it, it's like, it doesn't sound like you took like a famous song and made a hyper pop version. Like it fits the vocal really well. It doesn't sound like a completely different song.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's what I like to do, because a lot of these remixes at times, people will just give me an acapella, like how, and they're just like, you do something with it. And I'm like, okay. So you just build a whole song around it. And so I was listening to a lot of like weird kind of upbeat, fast, hyper pop stuff. So I'm like, I want to do this. I hear like the boo-ka, boo-ka.
Yeah, exactly.
So that one was super fun to do. And then, there's another remix on Friday coming out with like, I think it's got like Eric Heron on it and Vic Sage and stuff too.
Yep.
So yeah, it's dope. I'm excited about that one. Legend. It's going to be cool.
That's cool. And you just recently traveled down to Texas to meet a bunch of these people.
Yeah, exactly. So I went and hung out with Josiah Davis and Ryan Vetter and then some few other homies down in Austin. And I went to Houston as well. Got to see like No Excuse and stuff, and Blaine Stevens in Houston, some dope artists down there. Blaine is like the king of like just like sample making, right? Loop maker stuff, bro. He's so good at it. Like he's been a great resource and friend, and just like getting good at that stuff because loop game is crazy.
It's so important. Yeah. You got to have that. And we just talked about this, but kind of like how important it is if you're like in the studio with an artist and you're like, all right, like let's make something from scratch. You're not just gonna like start writing a chord progression and coming up with something on the keyboard in front of them. Like, you want like inspiration to be fast, and you want like the ideas to keep flowing. So you're most likely gonna pull out a loop or like a beat idea you already started. Yeah,
so that's already kind of like it's like a pre-starter to get the song going.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's definitely sessions where you're sitting down and doing everything from scratch. Like that's fun. Yeah, but so much time is like in that. Like that's like a luxury to have that time.
It's more so like with I'm assuming more with like rappers if you're trying to get something going quick. But it's like sometimes if you're closer with someone, like we'll have sessions where like we'll come up with something from scratch and it's like I know it could be a few hours before we have an idea down, but it's like that's what we're there to do.
Yeah, and it feels awesome doing stuff like that because you're like, wow, like that's a really special experience. But yeah, sometimes like there's just a vibe that you want. You're scrolling through some stuff that's pre-made and you hear it and you're like, that's the one. Let's do it. That's the vibe right now.
Yeah,
and you just make a banger straight from that, and it's how it goes. And sometimes I work with artists who literally just record to the loop. They don't want any drums or anything.
Really?
They just punch in like line by line and just record to a loop. And then they have people process it in the back end.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
Yeah, the way music is made is changing drastically, bro.
Yeah, there's I've seen some like with bigger artists, like snippets of songs, like the demos of them. And a lot of them are just like the artist singing over the piano. And then it ends up being this huge pop song with drums and everything. And I'm like, to me, that's crazy because I feel like if you're singing over just piano or guitar or whatever, your like rhythm is going to be completely different than if there's like hard hitting drums, but it works. So
yeah, some people do it and they like feel it because sometimes the loop when it's that good, right? You can just kind of like sing with it and you can feel the natural kind of rhythm that's going to be there or something. Yeah. Maybe they completely switch it up too, but like usually the producer will make it like fit kind of whatever is what they're singing and aid that. So I always appreciate that. I think it's a really cool kind of art form. It seems a little backwards, but man, that's how a lot of the hits are made these days.
And some of the like, I mean, there's some crazy people that like, I mean, we guess we both gotten to meet. Like Mario Luciano's local and he's like killing it. He's getting placements with like every big, it's a lot of
he's
like.
On the J. Cole album,
He's on the J. Cole album.
Yeah,
he's worked
crazy.
with Russ. He's worked with all these huge rappers. But, and I think he has a song with like YG and her.
The big one.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's him, dude. I can't believe that stuff. And he's just chilling out in Seattle. Like he just walks around like, nobody
like,
knows him.
That's the cool thing about producers and like the people that are super successful, but you don't like know what they look like or unless you're into music, you know what I mean? So it's like, he's not having fans come up to him like every day, like, let's take a photo. Like he can be a normal person.
Like I don't even know his face well enough to be like, oh yeah, like if I saw him in a coffee shop, because it's always different in person or something.
Right, and it's also like you see, like it could very easily just be someone that looks like him. You don't want to be that guy and be like, are you Mario Luciano? And he's just like,
like Mario?
No.
Do I look like
My
a
name's
Luigi
Jeff.
to you? Exactly. Yeah, so it's cool kind of being in that producer game because it's like, it can be low key like that. Like for real, you can kind of like keep the disguise.
We talked about, this is kind of off topic, but we talked about this like last time we were together just hanging out, but like how small the like, I don't even know the right word to call it, like the music scene that we're in, but like how small it really is. It feels like everybody like knows each other. And that's just been like crazy to me lately is because I'm starting to make all these like internet friends. And then I'm like, oh, they're like friends with this person and this person knows this person. And it's like, I don't know. It's kind of cool because you see like your mutual friends like doing these big crazy things. Like, what's his name? 100 Gram, like been going off with like the Nick D song.
Yeah, dude, those peeps. Shout out to 100 Grams and Nick D because like for real, they've been killing it on like TikTok stuff. And I know like Graham, he's always working hard, bro. Like I don't know how he does it, but he like makes these fire beats just for everyone right now. Like he's the dude. Like,
he's like one of those. I always see these producers just like they always have beats up on their Instagram and stuff like that. And it's just like
I don't think he sleeps though, bro. I think Graham's like part robot or something.
Part robot, exactly. But yeah, that's crazy to think. Also, we had Nick D on the show last year, so shout out to him because he's absolutely killing it right now.
Yeah,
like that
song's
huge. But it's wild, like seeing all these people like doing everything that they're doing. It makes me want to like. I know there's like that Indie Tribe event coming up like next month, and it's like I was like low key trying to fly down to it and just like meet all these people, but I'm going to be like out of town somewhere else. But I'm like, that's the kind of stuff I want to do more of, is like meeting people in person.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, bro, now that the world's opening back up too.
Exactly.
Like that's going to be the coolest thing ever. Like we can actually like meet all these internet friends in person. I mean, that's like why I went to Texas, because I was just like, I was, hitting up these people all the time, love their work, love their stuff. Like, let's work together. So like, bet. All right, I'm flying down there. Can I stay with you?
Yeah, it's like, it's crazy how much more, not leverage, that sounds like a weird, like manipulative word, but like how much more like people are willing to work with you when you know them as a person, and like they associate, they don't just know your username and what your music sounds like. They know you as a person, which is another reason why it's so important on social media. I feel like to put yourself out there, like your normal non-music related stuff out there. You know what I mean?
People want to see the stupid stuff, bro.
Yeah, and that's why I want to get better at like documenting my actual life. But I think that's what the podcast helped a lot with, is because if someone really wants to look, they can find like 30 minutes to an hour of me talking a week,
I wonder what his voice sounds like when he's not like singing.
Not trying to sound cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Exactly.
It's pretty wild.
I'm excited for the world just to kind of open up again with those like events and stuff. I mean, I think it's just going to lend to like a lot more like stuff just happening quicker. Because I was just talking with a guy yesterday. We got coffee and he just wanted to talk about some like music industry stuff. And he was like asking, like, how do you reach out to people and stuff like that? I'm like, yeah, the internet, fantastic way to do that. Reach an audience very quickly. You can have like stuff almost working for you online while you're sleeping. Like someone could be watching, the podcast literally just as you're taking a nap,
Right, exactly.
But I was like, nothing beats just meeting people in person. Like that connection, like solidified forever. Like,
and obviously, like in person is like the most ideal like way to get to know someone. But it's like, I feel like there's a process to it, because it's like you're not just gonna meet someone on the internet and just be like, oh, I like your stuff, like let's meet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
oh yeah,
sometimes that happens, but it's like with a lot of these people I've gotten to know, it's like we like reach out to each other. We're like, oh yeah, I really like your music, really like your stuff. And then over a few weeks, we, I don't know, like comment on each other's posts. And then all of a sudden you're talking and you're creating these conversations. And then like you're in group chats with people. And it's like a slow process of getting to know these people, because people don't know who to trust on the internet. Like you kind of have to prove yourself a little bit that you're not like a complete weirdo.
Oh, dude, 100%. Yeah. Cause like that's when I met Josiah for the first time. We were down in Austin. I say what's up, bro. And he's like, bro, I was so worried to meet you. Like, what if you sucked or something? Like, what if you sucked? What if you were weird? He's like, I was super nervous, bro.
Like, you're just like super mean. Like, no one would expect that.
Yeah, like just don't even like give him a handshake or anything. It's like, where's my spot, bro? Yeah, so I totally know what he means, because it's like sometimes it's a hit or miss with that stuff. But it's like, it's awesome when you can meet great people and build together. And it just like art is such like a personal thing, even though it's like the business side of it is like very real.
Yeah.
It's like you just want to work with good people at the end of the day, right? Like you can, and like any job, like you can work any job as long as you're working with good people. It makes the process way more
so
fun.
Much better. Yeah. And
way easier.
I think it's hard because it's such a like DIY generation of like making it in music, which is good because everyone's being like self-starters and like learning how to do things on their own. But you need to have those people, because I don't know, like I know so many artists just from over the last few years that like don't know that many people. And I really didn't see that much growth until I started to like become internet friends with people. And then you're all in the same like community, which is why pages like Rap Finds and stuff like that are like extremely helpful, that like you wouldn't really expect, because they're connecting all these people and you're constantly seeing the same names over and over again. And I think that's like one of the most beneficial things. If I was like an artist starting from zero, I'd be like, just find a way to make friends and like find a community online, because then you're in the same scene.
Exactly. Just support people. I mean, even back in the day when I was like very first new to producing and I did like way more EDM stuff.
Yeah.
And SoundCloud was the place to be.
Yeah.
Bro, like this is what I did. Just found these like weird pocket communities of SoundCloud people.
Yeah.
I met people all over the world at like, 14, 15.
Yeah.
From Italy, from like, I don't know, there's like Norway and stuff. There's these people who are just kind and would just teach me EDM stuff. We'd work on tracks together.
That's why everyone loves like Discord nowadays.
Yes, exactly.
Just get to know people.
Huge community builder, stuff instantly all day long, video chat, whatever you wanted to do. Like, it's a great way to do that. 100%.
Yeah. I haven't even really been on Discord at all, but like I didn't know what it was until I went to this Illmind conference like 2 years ago. And they were like, everyone download the app Discord and hop in this group chat. And then we ended up making an Instagram group chat, which is where everyone ended up like actually communicating for like, to this day, we still talk in there sometimes. But I remember just being like, isn't this like a gaming app? But like, that's how things work. It's like some pocket community of like literally just like the gaming community starts something and then it gets big and people find like people are making careers out of it.
Yeah. 100%. Like there's some huge Discord communities and stuff too, like for producers and stuff. And I was the same way where I thought, oh, this is like for gaming. Like this is what you have open.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
While you're playing your game with your friends, you got Discord. It's easier to chat that way or something. I was like, I see my brothers do that all the time. So I'm like, that makes sense. But I was like, oh, you can use it for other stuff?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sweet, bro. Like there's this one community called Where's the Cook Up? Oh my gosh. Like there's so many cool, like way bigger producers than I should ever be talking to.
Yeah.
Just in there and just like, you gotta hang out. There's so many cool collaborations.
Exactly.
Like, I think actually out of that Discord and like community came, what's that new Polo G song? That was huge.
I don't know, to be honest.
Whatever the big Polo G song is, there's like two dudes from the Bay just like linked up from that and just like gotten together in person and just made that song. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's just how it happens all the time these days. Though. Yeah. The biggest songs in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's people like to hate on the like younger generation and stuff like that, but it's like really innovative. Like all this stuff people are doing. And it obviously would have been way harder to be doing this kind of stuff in like the 90s or the early 2000s without like people using the internet often. Like, but I don't know. It's cool to see where it's going and like, who knows how wild it'll be in like 5-10 years.
Oh yeah, bro. Like all these, like you think about these pocket communities that happen just all over the world before you had like this instant communication. I mean, even like TV and stuff just kind of helped with like starting other genres like punk or, you know, whatever. Like it just led to these like subgenres all over the world and then like by region. And now, oh my God, we can have, you know, drill music all over the world or something, even though it's like a UK thing.
Right.
Like, it's so cool. And these pockets just kind of like get deeper in these subgenres and weird things. Hyperpop starts to exist.
Okay, we had this conversation a while ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was like, I feel like everybody at the time is like Kid Leroy is the person a lot of artists are copying at that time. Like he's the most trendy artist that like his style is the most like him and like 24K Golden are like the most inspirational artists of like whatever that was a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying that like it's interesting because Kid Leroy sings in this way that's very like I think it was like Australian like punk inspired, which makes sense. He's Australian. And it's like it's wild to me that like this subgenre in Australia gets like put on the map because there's this Kid Leroy gets huge. Yeah. And then like all of a sudden these other artists that like I know and then are in our scene are like super inspired. And it's like, that's funny because they probably don't know that the style that they're doing is like Australian punk or whatever it is.
Or influencing that stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird. Because like literally, I think he does sing. It's like a weird mixture of like Post Malone and then like Australian surf punk.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because literally like the way the melodies he has and stuff, I'm like, these are literally just punk melodies.
Yeah.
Like, and people love that stuff. Like, and it's just weird how like they take this like small little bit from a different genre and just blow it up in like a completely different thing. And that's what everyone wants to listen to. Yeah. That happens so often these days. And that's why I always tell people like, just listen to everything, get inspired by whatever. Like you'd be surprised on like what cool little things from like maybe jazz you can use in hip hop or whatever. Like look at Kendrick's album, To Pimp a Butterfly, right?
The biggest like advice I could give to like a rapper would be like listen to everything. But I don't just mean listen to all different kinds of rap, like actually find other genres you like, because like if you're Kid Leroy or whoever that's like merging genres, they're not listening to two different kinds of rap and merging them. They're literally listening to, it could be Australian surf punk, it could be pop music, it could be rock music. Like Dominic Fike is one of my favorite artists and it's very like rock inspired, but he'll still like rap on his songs sometimes. And like he couldn't do that without the knowledge of music that he has, you know?
from all these different things he listens to and influences and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think of people like Kenny Hoopla is a really good guy who I think originally he started off doing kind of more like rap stuff, and then he kind of went more indie, and then now he's like this like indie punk like stuff that like that new wave of like punk rap that like a lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because he listened to so much different stuff and kind of got inspired and really found his sound through that, because he was trying to be, you know, something else, like a rapper or whatever. That's like, maybe it was like natural for him for what he was listening to then. Maybe that didn't pop off quite as what he wanted to. And then all of a sudden he tries this other thing, and that's the thing that sticks. And he's like, bet, let's do it.
Yeah.
And now he's doing great.
I mean, also, if you look at a lot of big artists, like if you look at especially the rappers that were starting their career and getting big in like the late like 2000s, early 2010s, like a lot of them were like lyrical rappers and like doing hip hop. And then they start to branch out. Like if you look at Tyler, the Creator, I don't know his like discography super well, but I know that in his early career, he was like a rapper's rapper, very like Eminem inspired, where he's just saying these crazy stuff, like rapping on every song. And then he ends up making like Igor, which is like super not that. And
180.
And then he went back again on his album that just dropped, which is like super hip hop. But then there's like Logic, who was rapper's rapper, super lyrical. And then he ends up making this like alternative rock album. And then like his fans didn't like it because it was so different. And then he ends up going back to like rap again.
Yeah.
Like, or Kanye, who like every album is completely different.
Yeah. No, a lot of people don't know. I think Kid Cudi made like a punk album. That,
Yeah.
Like I didn't really care for it a whole ton, but like at least he did his thing, you know?
Yeah. It's like artists get bored. Like I can't imagine a lot of the artists that make the same genre every time, like are that fulfilled? Maybe they are. And if they are, that's awesome. But
yeah. But I think it's hard these days too. You see people switch up because there's so much outside influence with the internet. Things are moving so fast. I think back in the day, it was easier just to focus on like, I am a jazz musician, so I hang out with jazz musicians and that's who I talk to, and I play jazz clubs and that's it.
Yeah.
Now so many things are just mixed and like whatever. That's like, I just kind of, every album is going to sound a little bit different.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like with all the genres, it's like, it can be a mess sometimes with people trying to do too much, but I think that's where the most creative stuff comes from.
Yeah. It's like, just because it might be messy doesn't mean don't try it. But
yeah, exactly.
100%. Anyway, what stuff have you been up to? What's new with you?
It's been kind of all over the place. But let's see. I put out 2 songs recently. My song Why with Titus, which I really like that song. And then my song My Word, produced by Caleb Cruz. Shout out to him. But those were honestly, those were like older ideas that like I made when I put out all the other singles I was working on. Like, and I just like went back to those and I was like, oh, I really like these. I don't know why these never came out. Well, I know why didn't come out, because it was like touching on a sensitive topic in my life, and then I was like, I should probably wait to put this one out. But My Word,
settle a little bit.
Let it settle, because I was like, it wasn't about something that was going on in my life, but it sounded like it was. So I was like, I'm gonna wait for the water to clear on that a little bit, just so it doesn't look like it's about that.
Good call.
But so we finally dropped that, and then My Word was just like an idea that I made over like a Caleb Cruz beat, and I was like, this is cool, but like, I want it to be really good because like Caleb Cruz is like an artist I want to work with eventually. And I'm like, I'm not going to like send it to him. Like literally never listened to it for like 3 months, 4 months. Yeah. And then was just going through old ideas. And I was like, wait, why did I never put this out? This is good. And then I like got the beat, like sent it to Caleb, and he was like, yo, I love this. Like, this is a dope song. And so I like finally got to put it out. But
that's so dope.
Yeah. And besides that, like I've just been honestly kind of all over the place creatively. Like, been going through a lot of ups and downs, like feeling drained, feeling like super inspired by like all these different genres, like we were just talking about. Yeah. And it's kind of led to a creative mess of not like the songs I make are messy, just like one day I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a Olivia Rodrigo like rock song. And then like the next day I'm like, no, I'm a rapper. Like I'm going to rap like J. Cole. And it's just kind of, and I just have felt so like worn out because I've just been like recording a lot, but it's like not getting a lot of complete ideas. And it's just been kind of tough, honestly, because I've been going through some other stuff in my personal life and trying to balance all that at the same time has been kind of tough. But
it's a lot to balance when you're being creative, bro. For real. Yeah. It's a lot of ups and downs.
And so like, I feel like writing is the most like, there's not really a way to control your creativity with writing, but I know that some people will be like, yeah, if you're ever feeling uninspired, just like take a break. But a lot of the writers I look up to say the opposite. They're kind of like, they're not saying like kill yourself over writing and like write till you die, but they're saying like you can't sit around and wait for inspiration. And that's where I've seen a lot of small like artists that have like wanted to start putting out music that never actually end up putting out music go through that, where they're like, well, I want to wait till I have like a good idea and like make sure the first thing I put out's good. But I'm like, I know just from the people I've talked to, like it's all about putting out as many quality things as possible. It's not putting out as many things as possible. It's about as many quality things as you can. And to get to that point, you have to be working like a lot. Like some of these artists can knock out like 5 songs in a day. And that's not a sign of them like having no like tolerance for like quality. It's them working hard and like getting to the point where that's their process.
It's the consistency of it. And they probably have those processes down where they're like, I know like these are the objectives that I want to complete and stuff. So they kind of have like these templates or these like exact setups, how they kind of know what they're going to want and what they're going to need.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean, because it's like, it is that hard balance, right?
Yeah.
I've been able to like not just like completely keep going and drain yourself all the time, but you do got to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
Like there's totally times like, right, people in a normal job, people take vacations, people take days off and stuff like that. There's holidays, whatever else, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, when you're your own boss, like writing stuff like this all the time, it's like some days it's like, yeah, okay, well today I'm gonna go do something else to get myself maybe inspired, go somewhere, do something different, just go out of my regular, and then come back to that consistency. Right?
I think I've been getting better at like not beating myself up over not getting anything done. Cause like, honestly, from like April to like beginning of June, early June, like I was very like, because I was in a really good headspace from like January to April where I was making a ton of music. And it was like, honestly, the most creative I've ever felt and like getting all these ideas done.
Yeah.
And then like when I kind of started to fall out of that, I was just very like frustrated and like, no, I got to keep going. As long as I keep going, I'll keep getting these ideas done.
What's happening?
And then it was like a little bit of panic starts to come in. And then it was just like a really bad downfall because of that. And like, that was the reason after Full Throttle, there wasn't like, it was kind of a while before I dropped music again. And then like, it was also around the time, like when we were like, oh, we need to like reset things for the podcast and like a lot of things at the same time. Like other stuff in my personal life on top of that were just like, I didn't know how to handle it as well. But
it's a lot to juggle.
One thing I've trying to understand better is like a break doesn't necessarily mean like I'm going to take a week off and I'm going to vacation or I'm going to not work on music at all. It can be like, not even like meditation, but just like, it could be meditation, like finding 5 minutes to actually relax your mind or finding an hour to like go do something that doesn't make you stressed out and you're not like, because I'm always thinking about like, what music am I going to make tonight? Like that's always on my mind. So it's like finding a way to actually like focus on something else and be relaxed.
That's good. Yeah. So give yourself that creative environment, right? Because it's like whatever environment you put yourself in is like kind of, you're going to get inspired by. So it's like, if you're, I don't know, you always just got to put yourself in that realm, that headspace to where you're like, I actually can be able to create. Like, it's like, it literally is a lifestyle. You have to like live to be able to be a creative. There's this amazing songwriter, Taylor Armstrong.
Okay.
I took like one writing class from him and bro, it was helpful. He's a super helpful guy. Like he was awesome at the songwriting, but he gave me even more just advice about how to live a creative lifestyle. Like it really is something you kind of have to practice. Kind of like you want to be, you know, a weightlifter or something. There's a lifestyle you have to live. You have to change a lot of stuff. An
important part of that is off days.
Yes.
You can't just work out every day, the same muscles.
Work hard, rest hard. Like if you just are always going with those muscles, never let off the gas, bro. Man, your body it's gonna hurt.
But at the same time, so like one thing I hear a lot of people say is like writing is a muscle. So like that does mean you need to be like consistently working on it, but also like healthily working on it and not like overkill and finding the right times to take days off. But
100%, because it's just it's a balancing act like anything else, right?
Exactly.
Finding that rhythm. So that's good.
Yeah.
What else have you been up to, I guess? I mean, is that fair to ask? Anything like kind of exciting that you're just like, have you talked about the Phoenix trip at all? Did you mention that one?
Dude, to be honest, I don't know if we did because I think the last episode we did, let me look on the YouTube because on the Instagram, the last episode we did was with AC.
Okay.
And so like I wouldn't have talked about it then. And that was filmed before the Phoenix trip. But that's like how long it's been.
Dang, we might want to recap some of that. That stuff's cool to mention, bro. Yeah.
So before we actually like wrapped up season 1 of the podcast, there was an episode we filmed, me and John, and kind of touching on some of the stuff I had going on in my life at the time. And like literally that week, a bunch of the things we talked about changed. And then that was the same week we decided like, or John like let me know that he probably can't continue to do the podcast. And so it was like, well, that's an episode that's probably not going to come out because a lot of the stuff we were talking about. But
oh my God.
But some of the things not related to that we talked about were like, I got to go on this really cool Phoenix trip and meet a bunch of like really dope artists and producers, which was like incredible. But I wanted to just briefly touch on that if that's cool.
Heck yeah, bro. That's dope.
Yeah. So
tell me about that.
I think this was like late, like April, like around April 15th or whatever, 10th. Or, I saw that like Futuristic was doing a show. It's like the first show opening back up in like Arizona. And and I got tickets. And then I saw that it was like a 21 and older show. And I was like, oh, I'm 20. So that's kind of a problem.
Dang.
And I was like
that song of yours.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like, I really want to go to this. And my brother lives in Arizona for like people that don't know. So like that's kind of a place I'll travel to a lot and go stay with him.
I'll bet. Yeah.
But so I was like, this is perfect, but I need to reach out to someone and be like, is there any chance I could still get in? And I like reached out to him because of like all the challenges I've done in the past, like on his Instagram, like we've talked a little bit in the DMs. So I'm like, I know he'll see it.
You got some like history and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. And so I reached out and I was like, I got tickets from my brother and I'm flying down there. Is there any chance I can get in, even though it's like a 21 and older show? And he's like, yeah, for sure. Like, I want you to be there. So like, here's like, talk to this person. And he like connects me with his manager and I'm like talking to her.
Dang.
And then she like hits me with a message. She goes, yeah, like we'll get you in, like I'll get you there at the door. But Zach, who's Futuristic, like Zach says, be ready to rap. I was like, oh shoot.
What?
I'm like, dude, this is going to be like, it felt like in the movies where it's like they'll go up to the rapper at the concert and be like, let me rap a verse for you. Or they're like, here's my demo. But I'm like, what is this?
This is my shot, bro.
I'm like, this is like my 8 Mile moment. And so I was like,
exactly.
I'm like, bro, I got like 5 days for like at that time to like come up with like, I don't know. I'm like, I got to have like things prepared. Like I don't normally just like freestyle off the top. And like, I wouldn't want to do that in a moment where I kind of need to like be clutch and show that I can rap. And so I was like,
you pull out the best stuff, bro.
But the thing that scared me was like, what does this mean? Does this mean before the show, like, 'cause there was a meet and greet. I'm like, I figured like, I'm probably just going to rap to him at the meet and greet. Like it'll be a cool moment where he's a super nice guy. And so I'm sure I figured he was like, yeah, like I'll let him rap to me before. And that'll be like a really cool moment for him. I'm like, yeah, well, that'd be awesome. Get there, go to the meet and greet, like shake hands with him, kind of like said like, thank you for like all the stuff he's done like for me, like shouting me out. And it was like a cool moment. And then I was like, I said his manager's name. I'm like, she told me be ready to rap. Like, what does that mean? And he's like, well, just be ready to rap. I'm like, during the show, he's like, just be ready to rap. And I'm like, oh no. So now my head is spinning way worse. Cause I'm like, now I gotta go through this whole concert not knowing when that could possibly be.
Yeah, any second you're just like sweating in the back.
I'm like going through like 10 different written verses in my head because I'm like, what tempo are they gonna play? Like I can't rap the same verse over a different tempo.
Yeah, it's just completely different.
Luckily, the one I was like most prepared for was the one that they ended up picking. But like, anyways, I was in the crowd. Like it was during like later in the show, he like had this moment where he's like, I really love to like give spotlights to smaller artists because I was once a smaller artist and I know how like helpful it can be to like get your name out there. And so he was like, how many rappers do we have in here? And like a bunch of people raised their hand and then they start like bringing people up and they brought like me and like a couple other guys up and they're like, we're going to have a cypher. And I was like, oh shoot. I'm like, somehow in my like few years of doing rap, like I've never been involved in a cypher. And of course, the first one I'm in is like
in front
on
of
stage
crowd
with one of my favorite rappers.
Oh my God. Yeah, bro.
And so get up there, they start playing a beat. And luckily it was like a 92 like boom bap like tempo that I was like hoping for. And I'm like, all right, I got my verse. First guy start going. First guy was like a little nervous and a little like, cause also
he's the first
like,
guy, yeah.
having like, yeah, like I would be like so nervous. I was nervous, but like he was a little quiet on the mic. Second guy, you also couldn't really understand. So I'm like, all right, as soon as I get this mic, I'm loud and I'm like, I'm going to be I'm going to be into this. And so get the mic, start like going in. It's funny because you can watch the video back and you can hear kind of my voice, like, because I'm nervous and trying to be loud, kind of like jumping all over the place. But I thought it went well. Like I was glad I didn't like forget any words.
Yeah. No voice cracks or anything.
No voice cracks.
Praise God.
Like watching back, I always cringe at myself a little bit, like trying to rap and like look like a rapper. Not like look like a rapper, but like you have to be moving and you have to like look confident and stuff. And so like looking at the crowd and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, that was like one of the coolest moments for me ever, just because it was like,
bro, yeah.
I'm a super shy person. Like my whole life, my biggest fear is like presenting to the class. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and so like the idea that I like rapped like unprepared in front of like a 200-person crowd with one of my favorite rappers was like,
oh my God,
kind of a cool moment. And
young Matt Mogg would be so proud, you know?
Exactly. Like I never would expect to have done something like that. And so like shout out to Futuristic for being willing to let like unknown people come up and rap on his stage and let them have a spotlight for a brief minute.
Yes, sir, bro. Like that guy is like a G for always helping out like independent artists and stuff. Like he's for the people. At the end of the day.
Is. And also, they had us all like stage dive off at the end, and you can see a really funny video of me like tumbling over the crowd. They were like, right as I was getting ready to jump, they're like, all right, like a guy came up to me and grabbed me. He's like, you're kind of tall. There's a little beam with the lights on it. If you hit that, it'll break and you'll probably get hurt. So they're like, don't jump too high. And I'm like, but if I jump too low, I'm going to like hit people.
Straight in the face.
So I like jumped like this and like fell forward because I was trying to go low, but not too low and kick someone in the face.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah. It worked out, I guess.
First stage dive too?
First stage dive.
Sheesh, bro.
And honestly though, the coolest thing about the whole trip was like afterwards, like there was producers that I know from the internet that were at the show that I didn't run into because it was like, there was like 200 people in like a small room. Like you don't see everyone. Yeah. And they like messaged me afterwards and like I got to link up with like Poetics and like actually meet him, which was cool because it's like an internet friend like that like we just talked about meeting them in person. It's like a whole different experience and meeting like a few other like artists that I've talked with before, like Lex Bratcher, who's like a super dope like rapper.
Dang.
A few other people, but yeah.
Yeah. It's so dope. Like just in that community, how fast did things move just because you're all in the same spot, you know, and made things happen, bro. It's so much better, so fun. Because I always knew about that, but like, oh wow, Eli said something I think once, and he was just like, "Yeah, bro, like go out of your way to go to events because you never know who's there, who you can talk to." And not that it's all about like connections and stuff too, because it's like people can sniff that stuff out when you're just looking for.
But on a personal level, like you need to have friends in the same space as you to like function as a human being.
1000%.
Like people need to to understand what you're both going through. You know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because the artist life, bro, is crazy. Yeah. And like when you find those people who like get it and stuff too, like it really does kind of help.
Shout out to Eli because he's like going off recently and he's been like helping me with a bunch of stuff. Like he's connected me with like shout out Lamar Riddick who's been helping me like figure out my whole catalog and stuff like that.
Yeah. The people like that are amazing, right? Like and Eli's just he's producing for everyone. Like
I want to get him on the show because he's dope.
He's dope. He's a great guy. Great resource.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to him. But I think that's unless you got anything else you want to talk about.
That was great.
I think we'll start to wrap this up. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a while since we've put one of these out, and thank you for sticking around. If you're still here, stay tuned for the future because like we're gonna have all sorts of guests on, some returning ones. Kevin Hackett. I know we talked about this, but get at us. We'll set something up for your project. I think that would be dope. But anyways, make sure to like, subscribe on YouTube, and make sure to on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you leave a review there because that's super helpful for the show. Follow us on Instagram at NAS Podcast, NAS Podcast. Where can they follow you, Cade?
My name's pretty much available everywhere online because I have a weird name. So it's at Cade Leggett, CADELEGAT. Super simple. Follow me. Check me out, whatever I'm doing. I love it.
Follow me on Instagram at @TheMattMog and same thing on Twitter. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you again next week. Peace.
See you next time.